The new development. Hey, all. Throughout my tough and recent time, I've scoured the internet to find some sort of reason as to why things are happening, and the reason why they are. Here is my story. It's a bit all over the place. I apologize in advance for that. It's going to be a long read. But please, any advice I can get is helpful. As things pop into my head, I will put them down here. My wife and I are headed for divorce at the moment. Our relationship has had its ups and downs, just like any other. When we met in college, things were tough at first because I was so resistant in being with someone. I had recently gotten over a very bad on and off relationship with an ex. I had wanted to play my options, but there was something about this girl I couldn't let go of. We did long distance, PA to NJ, during that summer. We still were very close. Our families liked us and each other. At some point, she began to act different. I made her go to her doctor, I came along, and she was diagnosed with major depression and anxiety. It was a long and tough road for the both of us. I had a hard time dealing with it because I never had before. After my ignorance, I studied up. I observed her, went to every doctor visit. I was supportive in giving her anything she needed to feel better. She still has her bouts to this day. We progressed anyway. I moved from NJ to here with her. We had to stay with her parents until I could get on my feet with a job. We moved in together, but her depression began to get worse. She was unable to work. I would have to tend to all of the household duties because she just couldn't get herself to do anything. Dishes, laundry, dinner, cleaning. She was dependent on me. I was okay with that because I love her and that's what she needed right now was for me to be strong while we try to sort her out. I made enough money to support us both, but life happens. Emergencies and situations had us to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore on my own. I worked a lot of hours in a week to keep us afloat. We had so many arguments about her working and helping out so we can get back ahead. It got to the point where it was just a cycle and she didn't wind up working at all. I managed to maintain what we had. It was a lot to take on. Caring for her, tending to her on an emotional level, meanwhile trying to keep myself straight and work long hours. Not to mention my own feelings. Things wound up getting better. She got better. I proposed. We got married. Things were great. We were on an emotional high. Now, here is where things get bad again. I unfortunately lost my job around the holidays last year. I made a good amount of money again, so she didn't have to work. We lost our insurance, which means no more meds for her, and we had little savings. We fought again. I tried every single day to find a job. I went to interviews. I couldn't land a job. We had fought again. I was frustrated because she didn't even bring up the fact she would need to work at this point. For me, it didn't seem fair. I know she has her issues, but we need to do what we can. She landed a job at a local gym as a receptionist part-time. I wound up finally finding a job that pays a decent amount, but now we need 2 incomes to make up for the back rent, late bills, etc. With this, we for sure had drifted apart. To me, this was different from the past. I work so much and worry so much about our finances. I had no choice but to put my job first, or else we would be homeless. We became more like roommates at this point. We barely went out. There was little affection. It seemed like a rut habit we both just accepted. We even had a huge argument in which I stated just that. I felt like a roommate. I always had to initiate bonding. I always had to do this and that. I said if things don't change, I want a divorce. Fast forward to last month. I start to feel us drifting more and more. But with both of us working, we barely had enough energy to do much of anything, let alone the funds to do it. She had said that she wanted to go out one Friday night with her friend and a friend of her friend, both in relationships. I told her to go out and have fun. It's good to do that without me being there all of the time. I had hurt my knee at work that day, so dancing was a no-go to me. It got to be about 3 a.m. and I wake up on the couch with no word from her. She finally messages me and tells me that she's staying at her friend's place. I figured she had been drinking. The friend lives close to the club, so it's a safe bet. The next day her family had a surprise anniversary party for her grandparents. She came home and she seemed a bit off. I chalked it up to her still possibly feeling the effects of being out the night before. We got ready and went out. She pretty much didn't give me much attention while out. This is her family that I haven't really met yet. I felt as if I wasn't getting treated like a husband. She was acting a bit strange. That night, she just shot up to bed and didn't say much. I knew something was wrong now. The next day, she had work. I forgot she did. I was making breakfast and I messaged her asking if she wanted me to make extra for her when she got back to the apartment. She told me no, but we really need to talk. I wasn't going to wait another 5 hours. So, she finally told me she ran into one of her coworkers from the gym at the club. They danced, drank, kissed. She apologized and felt like a terrible person. I immediately lost it at that point. She wouldn't tell me his name or anything. I went to her friend she went out with, and she gave me a name. My wife had to babysit for a family friend for a week starting that night. She got back, didn't say anything, packed her stuff up. On her way out of the door, I told her, tell A, using the first letter of his name for privacy reasons. I said hi. She looked back at me and was shocked I knew. She got protective over this guy and just walked out and left. The next couple of days were tense. It was anger back and forth. I even went so far as to message this guy, who was a total jerk, to put it politely. I said he was in love with my wife and wanted to peruse her. He's 4 years younger than her, 22. By the way, my wife is 26. My wife and I had talked a couple of times between then. I begged. I tried to reason. None of it worked. It pushed her so far away. I suggested we try counseling together and try a 30-day period to see how we feel and interact. If at the end of the 30 days, we are not on the same page, we will get the divorce she wants. Therapy was not good. She had voiced on a scale of 1-10, she had the desire of 5 to save the relationship. Even so, she came back for a couple of days. There was no effort on her part. She went out one night and didn't come back until late. She went to go think by herself for 3 hours. The next day, she tells me that this isn't what she wants and that divorce is what will happen. I told her to please pack her stuff up and get out. The kicker for me was after therapy, she told me she cut it off. One morning before work, I see her phone lying on the ground next to the bed, face down. I decide to take a look. I wish I had not. The things they were saying to each other makes it look as if they were already together. Physical things, love things. Needless to say, we have been separated for over a month now. I let go and gave her space. We keep in light contact. We also had this contractual issue. Since we owe back rent, 2 days before she left, the landlord had us sign an agreement to pay X amount of dollars per week to be caught up. That's the main reason I contact her. We agreed to do half and half to be fair. The landlord contacts me and is about to evict me because she has not paid her half. Had I known she was going to leave, I would not have signed. My W had given me a lot of anger and attitude, in which I got irritated by and gave it back. I've learned to try to handle it better. As for the now, things are still confusing. I know I have not been husband of the year. I feel like I tried very hard, but at the end of the day, I was simply depleted. We had talked small, but somehow one of us always brings emotions into it. She would say things like, I want my last name back. This just isn't for me right now. I just don't feel that way about you anymore. On the plus side, she brought up why she hadn't responded to me or the landlord. She was going through some things and didn't feel like bringing it up or telling me because I wouldn't understand. I reassured her, because I know most people have turned their backs to her, leaving her alone, that she is still cared about. Even if she has ill feelings towards me, I will at least be there with an ear to listen. That's all. She wound up telling me she doesn't think she will ever find anyone to be with. She thinks she's a monster, but her reasoning was iffy. She gave me a list of things she wants in a man. I have those qualities, but she has fallen out of love with me. She kicked it to the curb because he wanted too much from her and tried to change her. They had slept together, by the way. I'm sure the rebound would have ended sooner or later. She still reaches out randomly or will like certain things on my Facebook. Also, I had decided to get into her Facebook. That's where she chats with people the most. She left her password up. I tracked what she was saying and doing. I kept screenshots just in case we do go through a divorce. I have that in my back pocket. She was telling her best friend, same one she went out with that night, that it was the one. She's in love with him. She had him over that same night we had therapy. Now to the bottom line, I still love my wife. I'm trying the dating scene. I just want my wife back. I have my bouts mentally from day to day. Yesterday I was ready to continue marching on. Today, I miss her. Not just having her around, but her as a person. Her negative traits that push people away, I like about her. I have given her space. She lives with a friend. I do NC unless it's about finances. Though she is adamant about becoming divorced, I don't want to. I don't believe in it. I know I have caused her pain over the years, but she has done the same to me. I have owned up to my mistakes and now I'm changing back to who I once was. A better me. She still has some of her belongings at the apartment. She wants to keep it there for a bit until we can get her off of the lease. She claims to have the divorce papers, but her dad told her to hold off for a bit until they can find time to help her with it and file. Not sure why they keep stalling if she's so unhappy being with me. I had my bouts with not sleeping much, not eating much, not performing well at my job. I'm more stable now, but emotionally, I'm torn. I'm still in love with her. I believe that I may have neglected her, not intentional, but I didn't validate her feelings, and didn't treasure her the way I did earlier on in the relationship. I'm only talking about my personal faults here. To point any finger at her at this point is not my objective. Is there anything I can do at this point to try to reconcile? Is it too soon? Keep going to NC. My job is giving me a promotion type thing very soon, so my workload is increasing. I have also decided to start working out last week to take better care of my body. I've made excuses and put so much on hold for years for her. I figured it's about time I do what I want for me. I have exposed this to her father. Her mother already knew before I said anything. She must have told her. I kept her cousin in the loop because I'm still friends with her. She's good people. Doesn't agree with anything she's doing at all. How would involving her family help? My wife is extremely stubborn. Once she's set in her ways, it's damn near impossible to shake her from that or to influence. With the rent deal, I had tried to message her for days before she responded. She claimed to be going through something and didn't think I would understand. She got mad, so I backed off for a bit. I let her know she was still cared about, and I'm willing to listen. Only listen. She later on told me she kicked this new guy to the curb because he was like her, but worse. He wanted her to change too much, was not enough of a man for her, was a bit of a pig, talking about other women in front of her, didn't like her only friend, everyone else pretty much turned their back to her. Guillaume was a dud anyway, still lived at home, no car, works as a janitor and at an arcade, 4 years younger than her. Only a rebound that we all knew would die out eventually. She looks up to her father and grandparents the most. She hasn't been talking to anyone for the most part, at least in the context of a divorce. She occasionally goes to her grandparents' house to see them and hang with her grandmother. She doesn't say much to her parents or anyone else because everyone has sided with me at this point. Everyone is confused as to why she is doing what she is doing. She's being very hush-hush about it all. I take it because she knows it's all wrong and doesn't want to hear the truth from anyone. Her family has all stated to me that they are going to be hands-off because it's between me and her. What do you suggest I say to her grandmother? She would be the best option, IMHO. She helped raise her. She's seen how happy my wife was when we were together. She knew I was in love with her. She's even gone so far as to say something to the effect of, that man is in love with you. The things he's doing and done for you, no man ever would. No kids. We had discussed it in the past. It was on the table, but we needed to get ourselves in a better place financially first. Yes, from my understanding, it didn't happen until we were together in college. It may have happened and slowly developed when she was younger but was never diagnosed. She was on different types of medications until we could find the one that worked best with her. That in the right type of dosage and adjusting accordingly due to how she felt on them. It's a very tiring process for all involved. Yes, there are many issues. Some have been repeated in our past. We never really got to discuss them because she was wanting to leave and has left. I had wanted to talk, but she shows no interest in that. I figured she needed space, so whether she wants it or not, I gave that to her. Is that a bad move? I don't want to smother her or push her away farther than I already have. I want to talk about these things with her, no doubt. 3. I still care for her very much. Even if she doesn't feel like she's in love with me, I still want what's best for her. I want to see her grow and succeed in life, no matter what. She hasn't really said much to me about that other than in the beginning. We have a history. I still care about you very much. 4. The therapy thing. Okay, to clarify, I was in panic mode at the time. I wanted to fix this the right way. I offered us to go to therapy. We made it to one session together. She still seemed to have her mind made up. She only wanted to go because I wanted to go, not because she wanted to repair or fix the relationship. The 30-day trial was also my tossed-up idea. My thought was, let's just see how we interact. Go to therapy, try to work things out. If at the end of the 30 days, we aren't on the same page, I will go through with the divorce. No problem. At that point, we would have tried. But the issue was, she never really attempted. She claimed to not know how to try. Soon after, she said she didn't want this anymore. I believe the OM had some influence on her. But reality is, I don't know what her reasoning was for finally coming to her decision. I don't want to bring anyone into our issues. It is between my wife and I. Plus, I think it will look suspicious if her family comes out of the woodwork, all saying the same things. I thought about packing her stuff up, as it is too painful for me to look at. Her clothes, items, wedding pictures hung up. It hurts me to come to the apartment, alone, being forced to look at these things. It's a bit haunting. I hope that's understandable to all of you. I am way more than willing to go to a counselor, therapist. Our communication has always had a disconnect, if you will. We hear each other, but nobody seems to fully understand what the other is saying. Having some sort of mediator to help make the message clear would be very ideal. But, in order to do that, again, she has to want to do this. At the moment, not even I can figure out where her head is at. She seems to be doing well. But after 5 years of knowing her, she is having difficulty internally with this. If she is, she's covering it up with work and OM, or an interest in one to fill my void. At first, she went to her parents. She wanted her own space and to not be reminded of what's going on. So, she tried to stay with her aunt. She eventually decided she didn't want her there. Now, there's a single mom she babysat for, still friends with her. She's a hippie and doesn't care much, so she's staying there. She didn't care that the OM spent the night there as long as they didn't make any noise. We have been in contact about once a week or so for one reason or another. Would forcing a decision make anything better? I realize it's just a suggestion, but it may get misconstrued as an ultimatum. I feel as if she is in fact confused, due to depression. I understand her actions from that perspective of needed to release her depression by testing waters. Eventually, she will hit a wall. I want to treat it properly, but things are so dicey, I'm unsure of how to approach. In addition, how do I get the horse to not only go, but to drink the water? She doesn't want to do anything of the sort. I could suggest it, but the rejection rate is pretty high. Other than the fact I took vows and a commitment when we got married. For better or for worse, I meant it. I want my wife back because she's strong. She's a bit different, which I always liked. She's been supportive when I've felt my lowest. When we met, I didn't think love was possible, but she showed me otherwise. Sappy, I know. I love how passionate she gets about things. Her ability to read people. Her little attitude she gets from time to time. That cute face she makes when she's telling me something and trying not to laugh. How she balances me out and vice versa. Her love of traveling that we both share. We have unfinished business. I think these things are more than able to be dealt with in its own time. We hit a lot of emotional stalemates. Too much pride. Not enough communication. These things are able to be worked on and improved on both ends and collectively. I know what needs to be done. I can't walk away from something without giving it everything I have. I don't want to be stuck with what ifs. Be honest, if she doesn't want to be married to me, then tell me, why hasn't she filed, even though she has gotten told by her father to wait? Why hasn't she moved all of her stuff out of the apartment? Why does she still reach out from time to time? Why does she even want to talk? Why is she still trying to get emotional support from me? Why does she want to be friends? I am looking forward and improving myself little by little in my own way. But there's still one foot in the door. This was her idea and this is what she wants. She knows I do not. I'm not pulling said trigger. If this is the bed she may think she wants or has to have, then she will indeed lie in it. Even with the other information provided, mental illness, you still believe the result and bottom line is the same. You don't think that things should be approached and thought about a little differently. Funny thing about that is, when she brought up the OM, she told me negative things about him. She wouldn't write all terrible things, as she knows we have a history together. The way I was with her, at least at some point, and took care of her, nobody has ever done for her. Not even her own parents. Of course, it's going to destroy me for a while. Someone I thought I was building something with, invested everything I physically could to, is just wiping their hands clean and leaving, at least seemingly. I know that it's a strong possibility that she may never come back, or at least not come back anytime soon. She's placing landmines around herself emotionally, not facing the issues she has, not addressing the ones we had together, and unsure of where she is and where she wants to go. She's going to wind up doing a lot of damage to herself by living this life. It's pretty much a given. I know I can't do anything but let it happen. It's not over until it's over. She may wind up coming to me during the 90-day wait period, after you file for divorce, and want to work on everything. She may find herself coming to grips with this 900 days from now. She may never look back and just gloss over all of these things. In any event, I'm still going to do what I've been doing, and that's work on myself. Become social again. Go back to school and finish my bachelor's. In the meantime, anything is possible. Pray for the best, prepare for the worst. I thought she might be bipolar, but that girl won't go to a doctor. The only reason she ever went was because I had to call, make the appointment, go with her, etc. Now, I believe she may be in denial. I am by no means trying to blame everything on her depression, but I know how she gets when she has her issues with it. This type of behavior looks exactly like it. It's not the only reason, but a huge one. We were together for 4 years and 1 year of being married before things went south. Yes, there was in fact a lot of giving on my part, but the emotional aspect I lacked in. Working all of that overtime and then coming home to be expected to spark up the romance. I just didn't have it in me. I'm not sure if she's capable, but she's looking for a prototype of me. If that's the case, she's never going to find anyone. Her expectations are a bit unrealistic. I still want to try. Again, this is due to the fact I still love her in combination with my views on being married. She reached out to me about a week and a half ago, messaging me on FB. She said something like, "If I make another Facebook, don't get mad please." At which point, I didn't care. She can make 5 if she wants. I have no place to say anything. She requested me on the new one, which I guess is part of the breadcrumbs. I accepted it, but then I thought, why? Why is she requesting me? I did some Google work, and apparently, I can be friends with someone and still block them from seeing anything on my page. This could be a part of going dark. I did that to both of her pages. She lost the privilege of knowing what I'm up to when she did what she did. I thought this is what's best for me for the time being anyway. I haven't talked to her since. She hasn't reached out either. We'll see what happens as time goes on. I figured once this divorce is close to or actually finalized, I will delete her completely. Possibly change my number, might not depending on work contacts. I've been trying to make excuses to make myself feel better about all of this. Using her depression as a crutch, like, oh she didn't mean it at all. The depression is the problem. While that could possibly be true, or something undiagnosed that's even worse, I have to admit that there is no excuse for her actions at the end of the day. There's plenty of people with illnesses or handicaps that would never do anything like this. I take my part in missing some red flags and whatnot, but the bottom line is still the same. No excuse. Your part about wanting answers is mainly true. Looking within, I think that hurts the most. An action without a true explanation. You mean you can't tell me why you're being this way? You can't tell me why you did what you did. All I get is, meh. Come on, loads of BS. I want truth. Screw being hurt by it. I deserve that much. The truth. To me, it leaves me only to speculate. She's not telling anyone else anything. I'm not even sure she knows why she's doing this. It's pretty wild. I'm never one to be too bitter about things. I wish everyone well in what they do. I'm not sure I can do that with her as much as I want to. The sleepless nights are behind me. I still have an issue sleeping in what used to be our bed. For now, I'm crashing on the couch. There are too many memories in that bedroom. I've already met someone, and she's great. She's everything I wished my wife was, and those are traits of a wife. I'm going to continue to see her, take things slow, and see where it goes. Now, I have thought about this numerous times, and my answers are always the same. Let's say hypothetically, she calls me today and wants to come home. I will agree to an extent. She would need to cut all ties with any other man. Absolute transparency, passwords, unlocked phone, etc. See a therapist to work out her personal issues. Quit her job at that gym and find another full-time position. Stay moved out until I've seen some changes. Divorce must go through and be finalized. At that rate, hypothetically, she won't want to do any of those things. I know she won't. In addition, I'm not sure if I'm willing to live my life having to constantly worry about where she is, what she's doing, etc. That would be the end of that chapter in my life. Hypothetically, with all of that being said, who's to say 2 years from now she won't do it again? I think I'm starting to get it, it's just very hard to accept still. As I've stated, her family reaches out to me from time to time. From my understanding, they love her, but are disgusted with what she is doing and has done. She's tried to shack up with family, but they know her ways. She's supposed to be temporary, but she will get a bit too comfortable and mooch. It's very disappointing to think that someone you think so highly of would do that to you. Nobody is ever really willing to give it to me straight. Either they don't want to hurt my feelings, or they just have never been in that position so they don't think their advice will help. I do feel weak and hurt. Some days are better than others, but I'm trying to combat that with working on myself. Being married turned me into someone I don't recognize when I look in the mirror. Now, I'm going back to the way I was before we met. I was social. I loved going out. I had friends. I'm going to go back to school and finish out my degree. I'm getting a promotion at work soon. I'm exercising to get my body back. I put too much on hold for this woman. It's about time I do for myself again. I did find someone. They found me, really. She had gone through a rough divorce, so it was nice to talk to someone that's pretty much in the same boat as myself. I understand the advice is blunt and harsh at times. I get that nobody is trying to be negative towards me, just realistic. To me, I figure, okay, it was emotional, physical with I have proof. She's moved on. I'm sitting here wallowing. We haven't done the deed in what feels like ages. I need what I need. In this aspect, I can't wait for her to come back and do that. Even if she were to, what is her reasoning? Would I just be a jump off? Is it a trick? Is she trying to trap me? So, I just did what I felt I needed to do. Neither of us can afford to take anything to court. So, any place I can get the papers would be best. Again, she claims to have said paper something, but I can't believe everything I hear from her. Are any of those online filings legit? Just as an update, I checked the county website for a divorce. I'm looking at $300 at least, possibly $600. Going to try to find some loopholes or other avenues to try to get this price knocked down. This is the only reason I'd have to wait. She's already left me in a tight spot with finances. I had things planned out for 2 incomes. It'll be a little bit for me. It's going to take a little bit of time to shake that bad habit. I love hard. In this particular case, it's easy to say screw her, but I've been fantasizing for a while here. Just need to stop doing it. I know I deserve better and not settle for her and her ways. It's just difficult. Apparently, I can go down to the local county clerk's office and get my papers. With that, there are certain qualifications my soon-to-be ex-wife and I need to meet in order to get the fee waived. It's a shot I'm willing to take. I'm hoping I can do this without her knowing. But, unless they require some information about her job, which I know nothing about, she will know. I had reached out yesterday to remind her to pay me what she can for the back rent. I got okay, I certainly will. Better than a cold shoulder. Best thing I can do is hit therapy on my own. My assumption is that eventually she may ask me to see if she will come to 1 or more sessions. I can be nice, that's in my nature to most people. Besides, she'll expect me to be angry, pushy, etc. that may throw her off a bit. I can't do anything to get her back, but I feel like I can at least change her perception of me. Only way to do that is to continue to grow and better myself. But take note that this is not for her. This is for my benefit. If she gets attracted again, that would just be a byproduct. I've stated that being married changed me, and not for the better. The way I was before I met is the complete opposite. I'm going back to that because I was happy with myself in that state. It feels good. I would also think that any reconciliation would have to be on her part. Everyone and their mama know I'm up for it. I've already claimed my own faults. She has yet to show any remorse or reasons why things are this way. No ownership whatsoever from her. I can hold my breath waiting for that, but it'd be a waste of time. She may possibly never come around. She may come around next week. She may come around 2 years from now. Either way, I can't wait for that from her. Do you think that me serving her will at least get the message across? She can view it however she wants. Me taking a jab at her, me being petty. But, I'm growing restless with this. If she wants her last name back so badly, she can have it. She's put enough disgrace on it with her actions. I need to pull the trigger on this. I'm mad because she's playing these games and coming up with excuse after excuse. I want to show her I mean business, and I don't want to sit around idle while she just does whatever she pleases. If she has enough time to go out on dates and run around with OM, then she has time to file. Let's just say her kicking OM to the curb is true. She tells me this. If that was the case, my common sense tells me that this would have been her wake-up call. Things fizzled out with this guy. She found fault in him. Cool. When she told me that, this would have been her time to come forward and acknowledge something. Get her out of the fog, so to speak. It would have been the beginning of trying to repair herself and whatever bridges she destroyed between us. Now, even if there is no OM, like you say, she's made it clear she's still on the hunt for a new OM. She's not being logical. Her life must be chaos, from being broke to being homeless to being lonely. If she wanted to, she would have come back already. But, like I've seen, dealing with someone that is still in a fog and not thinking logically or even rationally, there's not much I can do. I guess her not filing, being a cake eater, leaving some of her things in the apartment, is a part of it. I'm going to assess that what you're ultimately saying is basically just to file, keep it moving. I mean, there is literally no getting through to her on any level. This would explain why her family and friends all turn their back to her. She has no one. She has alienated herself to only communicate with those who will encourage her decision, which is one, possibly two women. Filing won't do anything to her or change any feelings, other than maybe being surprised because she never thought I would nut up and do it. I know there are women out there who will treat me the way I deserve. I have already met someone new. This woman is great. We have not known each other for very long, but what she has shown me thus far is just what I deserve. She's catching feelings and has been open about it. I asked her, how is that possible? I'm not even really doing anything. To be realistic, I really am not. The occasional flirting, conversations, hanging out. She tells me, you make me smile all of the time just by looking at you. You be yourself. That's all you need to do. Even if things don't pan out with her, which I will not bank on 100%, it at least shows me there's still decent women out there that will accept, like, and potentially love me for me. A quick update. I have been talking to my buddy a lot this weekend. He basically helped me peel back the layers of myself internally to get at the heart of why I'm feeling the way I am. It's been very eye-opening and somewhat painful to face these feelings and emotions head-on. I'm still continuing to move forward and work on myself bit by bit. I haven't talked to my W and she hasn't reached out to me. I plan on keeping it that way. I'm finding myself thinking about her less and less and less as time goes on. I have also been spending a lot of time with this new girl and things are going great. It's a bit difficult coming from the way I've been treated in my M to a new relationship. I put that in quotes because we are not together at the moment, but I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm looking at this as the way things are supposed to be. It's driving the point home further that there are indeed other women out there that are better for me. Ones that will treat me how I deserve to be treated. She's even going so far as to help me personally through this process, packing her stuff up, filing, my personal goals. Another update. Things haven't gone very well since I was on here last. With the back rent issue, last week, I reminded her nicely, and she responded in civil manner. I went to mention it again the other day, and she came at me pretty hard. She claims I am being manipulative, trying to take all of her money. I just want her to pay her half of the amount owed, like she told me she would. Just honor that one simple agreement. She says she's not giving me another dime. This really screws me over. I can't financially handle all of that. I'm supposed to meet with my landlord tonight to hash things out so I can attempt to do this. The other half of her attack was about Facebook and her family. She brought up the fact that I have her blocked from seeing anything on my page, restricted list. I don't see the relevance, but okay. Other things she was really mad about was that I still communicate with her cousin, mainly. I still like her. Her family sometimes comments or likes my things I post. Nothing going on there. She also had claimed that I'm trying to turn her family against her. I'm not seeing any of this. I attempted to ask in detail where this is coming from and how she's assessing everything. She's done kissing my bottom. Threatened to get a pro bono lawyer for women. I'm thoroughly confused at this point. It seemed like when I tried to ask about these things, I didn't get an answer, as expected. It seemed more to me like she was upset with something going on in her life and she was just taking it out on me because I'm the easiest target to project feelings onto right now. Yesterday, she said I expect too much and she doesn't have it, money. The only way she would help with the back rent is if I got half on the filing fee, $300. You all know my mentality. She wants to be free, have your own things, make your own way alone. More power to you. But she did what she did. She wanted this, I did not. I feel like she's maybe trying to make me hate her in a way, so I just go along with things. No idea. My counteroffer is to indeed pay the $150 when I can pony that up. But I want her to sign an agreement with me, saying she will pay her half of the total amount owed, in installments. That will be the only way for me. I also have to admit my lack of focus with things that are high priority lately. I came home the other day, and the electric company shut my power off. The past due balance is more than I can shell out right now. I'm currently without power and staying with the new lady friend in the interim. This was not my idea. She is still making me stay there at night. I am frantically looking for a roommate situation so I can get back on my feet. May have to pick up a weekend job to get this all done. Hopefully this offer goes well. I'm going to present her with it this weekend and see what she says. I reached out to her father about it. I told him what was going on as I'm not sure what my STBX has let out. I simply asked if he would get her to come around to the idea. She doesn't seem to want to listen to many people, but being the man he is, he may be helpful in this. I now realize that there is still no logic to be had. I'm trying my best, and succeeding I think, on making this more like a business transaction without any feelings involved. Trying to be as fair and reasonable as possible without compromising anything for myself. Even when I make it strictly business, she somehow makes it personal with throwing emotions into things. I'm not sure why I'm surprised. I keep putting my expectations of her actions and thoughts to what a level of normal should be, too high. I was surprised but not at the same time. With the nature of this beast, I shouldn't expect much of anything at this point except confusion and frustration. Should keep it to low, nothing at this point to avoid doing that to myself further. Also seems as if I may be getting reeled back in with the way she's addressing me. She came back to the apartment on Wednesday to get the rest of her stuff with her mother, or so she claims. I haven't been back there in a bit. Even so, I'm still taking things one day at a time here. When she messaged me Tuesday to confirm, I got more of the same attitude which was totally unwarranted on all levels. I told her I would follow up with her on her decision about the contract idea at the end of the week. A whole week should be ample time to think about it. I'm hoping she'll come around to the idea, but hey, at this point, anything can happen with that. She still wants to be divorced but won't do anything about it to make it happen. I may wind up taking a sunk loss on the back rent. If so, at least I made an attempt. It's a bit difficult trying to be the bigger person on a moral and ethical stance with this while trying to get the message across that I'm not her doormat or punching bag anymore. Few months later, I have had a bit of a hard time with finding a solid place to live. Thankfully enough, I've made friends with some good people over my time in the area. My friend has opened her home to me and things are decent now. Things still hurt quite a bit, but I'm doing what's best for me. I've blocked my STBX from every social media outlet. She only texts about the divorce and nothing else. I had to put my foot down about that before. She now finally gets that. I am moving to Florida to be with my family. I need a new start. I went down over the holiday weekend to do job interviews and visit them. It was a blast, but the humidity is no joke. I landed a decent job and my parents are making room for me. I should be down and ready to start over in about a month tops. I've found my self-confidence again. I'm smiling more and laughing more than I have in the past 5 years. That's how long we were together. I'm enjoying life the way I want to. This is only the beginning. Now that I will have the love and support of my family, I feel amazing. I no longer pine for my STBX. I still have my random thoughts and feelings of sadness of what could have been. I embrace it, let it sit, get upset for a few minutes if I need to, then move on. This was her loss. This is her doing. I'm going to be just fine. There's still some personal growth and lessons to learn and apply, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. Only major issue is that she's still dragging her feet with the papers. I still have no received them. Should be in the next 2 weeks, though I've heard that line already. To backtrack, I needed to realize some of the mistakes I've made in our 5-year stint. I tend to put the women I'm with on a pedestal. I need to realize that while I think the world of them, they are only human. It may also tend to give them leeway to take advantage of me. I have a problem not speaking up when someone or something upsets me. Poor communication which doesn't validate my own feelings. I realized that most of the time when things were important to me, visiting my family, events, etc., I never got any support or emphasis from her on it. She knew it mattered, but never did much to help or empathize. I hold on to things for too long. I needed a wife, not a child. I have a tendency to hope for the best, knowing it won't ever get better. I should have let go sooner. Those are just some things I saw wrong. Once I get settled, I plan on looking for a decent therapist just to make sure I've unpacked all of my emotion and feelings fully and properly. Beyond that, to make sure it doesn't happen again, I'm going to listen to my gut more. A lot of times, things felt off or just not fully right. I threw caution to the wind too much, and things wind up not well for me. So many red flags and warnings that I didn't address for reasons I'm unsure of. Naive, fear, hope. I'm not going to put my partner on a pedestal. I'm trying to be fairer to myself in that sense of acknowledging my own feelings and validating them. When I have a problem with someone or something, I'm going to speak up. Not going to depend on anyone. I think that was also a huge thing. I need to have my own things. When I looked to her to help financially, I got nothing but resistance. I can't do all of that on my own. I'm going to take things slower, letting them happen organically. Too many times things had felt forced or rushed. I think that's all I have for now. This is still a learning process for me. As another update, I finally got my papers served to me. She jumped down my throat about it. Unfortunately, I lost my cool. I had been well up until last night. I had a bit of an emotional hangover from that this morning, but I'm over it. She's simply projecting whatever miserable existence she has onto me. just trying to get under my skin again. The more she does this, the more it proves that I deserve and have deserved better than this. Such a shame. I believe I'm now in the 90-day wait period. There's no separation laws in P if things pan out. By January 1st, 2021, I will legally be free. I'm getting more and more excited about this new chapter. My comment: dude, look for a partner, not a princess. By the way, the only way this would have worked out is if she was a different person. A good partner is an asset when things get tough. Your wife was a liability. Realize you bought a lemon with her, but also there are many great women out there. You just have to pick the right one. 50% of a good marriage is who you pick to marry.